Hey, it's your favorite life coach, Dr. Boz. And I want to share a little personal narrative that hopefully you can take something from. I like to keep it all the way real with my experiences. And if you've been following me, you'll see that I was gone away from home, and the longest that I've been away from home in a business capacity, probably since before the pandemic, right? So 6 days, across the country. With that means I was highly dysregulated, right? My sleep, because time change, but also the work, right? Physically doing the work of interacting with other people, of sharing your story, of doing these things can also take even though because it's emotional, it takes also a physical impact. I'm in LA, so there's a lot of walking around. And I'm also at a conference, so there's also more walking around. And I was just heavily disrupted. I'm also not at home, I'm in a hotel, so that means all of my meals come from restaurants and takeout. And so I felt just very like, you know, toe up basically when I got home, from being tired to feeling just drained emotionally, and just feeling right, from not the only good thing I did was pretty much like make sure that I stayed hydrated, because that's I have to, right? And then also, like, I did yoga once, but I do it like several times a week. So I just felt very dysregulated. My body felt tight from sitting on planes and from doing like an obscene amount of steps every day. So I just felt like just not in a good space. And so what happens when we're not in that good space, when we're not rested, when we're dysregulated and our routine is out of place, that is the prime time that those thoughts start seeping in. Those negative thoughts start seeping in. It's easy to get caught in a spiral. And I write about this in my book. And so I almost got caught in a spiral. Lucky for me, I pretty, good about utilizing my tools and strategies. But for a moment, I started to not feel my best self. And so again, I also write about this in my book. I write about my struggle with eating disorders, and very much like somebody who might have a drug or alcohol addiction, having an eating disorder means that you will have one forever too, right? So I recognize that. I understand the idea about being triggered and flare-ups and all that type of stuff. And so for me, I just started to feel like, oh, like I didn't eat good. I feel bloated. I feel big. I don't feel good. I started to, and I know that if I didn't stop myself, it could have just went into the process of like, do I need to do this? Do I need to do this? And I could have very easily like either like went back to some very restrictive eating, which I haven't done in years. So for me, I was just like, ooh. So the question that I asked to myself in the moment was, what inspired action can you take? What can you do right now in this moment to feel better? And since I got back home, I've only been home for 3 days. And so since I got back home, I did try to get back into my routine of working out, of cooking my own meals and things like that. But it still didn't shake the feeling of just not feeling myself and not liking how I look in the mirror, which is ridiculous. Because I'm cute. But anyway, so I said, what can I do in the moment? So what I decided to do was to go back to a routine of mine that I kind of got away from, which was to do yoga, but get naked and do yoga. Which, can be a little bit uncomfortable for some folks, because if you got these, then it's a problem. But for me, like, it really reconnects me back to my body, right? So I watch the folds and ripples, and I posted about this before too, about like doing yoga in the nude. But for me, it just really connected me back to my body. It helped me to appreciate all of the parts of it and the way that it worked. So I'm watching myself do these difficult poses, and I'm watching folds and ripples, but I'm also watching muscle and all these other things. And so it really just lifted my spirits, and it brought me back to where I needed to be, and I feel amazing again. And so I wanted to share that with you, because what I really wanted you to take away from this is that we have to be intentional about the work. We have to be consistent about the work. And sometimes life happens and that our consistency is thrown off, and that is totally fine. But how do we get back on track? We take inspired action. We take a step. I don't care what it is, one single step to get us back. And when you get into the habit and the pattern of doing the work, it becomes easier to get back on track and easier to kind of self-check in the moment. Like, I heard the negative thoughts pop up and I was like, oh no, no, we're not going there. What do you need, Toya? What do you need? I need to feel good about myself. I need to walk past the mirror and be like, hey. And so doing yoga with a mirror And watching myself brought me back to that. Now, again, I'm not saying that's going to work for you, but whatever it is that works for you, get back into that routine and that pattern, because it's very easy to get thrown off and whatever it is your struggle is. So just reconnect to yourself and give yourself what you need to get there. That's all I got. I'm back to feeling cute again. And who knows what feelings will arise, but do what you got to do to take care of it. That consistency and that inner work. Like, do not underestimate the power of doing the inner work on a daily basis. That's all I got for you. Have a lovely rest of the day. Peace.